This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Brian says, I respect Big O's defense of Boyer, but when Fins faces Chargers, they were decimated on D, but they schemed it up right. Just not sure Boyer does not deserve some blame. Brian, let me ask you something, just out of curiosity, okay? I get that they schemed it up right, okay? Did Mike McDaniel counter it? Did the players answer back? Or what? Was it all defense or did they fail on offense? Because for me, they failed on offense in San Francisco. They failed on offense with the Chargers. And they failed with the Bills, my friend. I'm not sure if you know that's the common denominator. You know what I mean? The defense is not going to bail you out of anything. You know, the Ravens game, they bailed you out after they fell down to 21 points. They shut them down. And then they were able to come back. The Detroit game, they shut them down in the second half. In the Buffalo game, they gave you a turnover in that second half. It's up to you to do something with it. It's up to you to catch touchdowns when Tua throws him. It's up to Braylon Sanders to run, God damn it, not stop. He threw you a touchdown. It's up to the head coach to take the extra point and not the 2-point conversion, my brother. Your problem is you keep waiting for a defense that's not good enough to bail you out. Okay, I wanted to talk about this, so I'm glad you led me to this because Dave Hyde had this article, and listen, I know Dave Hyde is not a Tua believer. Okay, he's not a hater or anything, but he's not a Tua believer, and he's had kind of a negative outlook on the Dolphins right from the get-go. From the beginning of the season, I heard him with Joe because I remember I was on one of those Thursdays or Fridays when I'm in the car. I remember listening to him talking about, I just feel like this is going to be another one of those. I've seen this movie before. So he already had the attitude that it was going to be a bad season. So he wrote an article this week that Josh Allen on Monday or Tuesday, he wrote an article that Josh Allen, that Tua has to be what Josh Allen is. Okay, so here's where, we got to stay in a reality now and what we are. The problem is for you, Brian, you're not in reality. Dave Hyde is not in reality either. Marcel Louis-Jacques, not in reality either. You're putting unrealistic expectations. Now, here we go. So he goes, well, he wants Tua to be what Josh Allen is, or he's got to be what Josh Allen is. Well, first of all, he can't be what Josh Allen is because he can't run. And that's what gouged and killed the Dolphins was the running. Okay? And then here's the other thing, the part of the equation he leaves out. So is Tua facing a harder job at scoring than Josh Allen is? So let me ask you something. What do you think Tua does to the Dolphin defense if he's facing the Dolphin defense? Thanks for playing. See, that's the part that, Dave Hyde leaves out of his article. He leaves out that, one, Tua's never going to be the running quarterback. He's the throwing quarterback, Dave Hyde. Okay? He's the throwing quarterback. And he threw Braylon Sanders a touchdown. Braylon Sanders chose to stop and not keep running. That's not his fault. He threw 2 touchdowns in one possession inside the red zone to Sherfield and to Tyreek Hill. What the fuck do you want him to do, Dave Hyde? I'm sorry. I'm wondering, what do you want him to do? Oh, so you want him also to rush for 100 yards. He already threw the touchdowns. That's the problem with Marcel Louis-Jacques. Now he's like, well, no, I got to see him off script. No, dude, that's not who he is. He wins from the pocket. He beat the Bills from the freaking pocket. Everybody else didn't do their jobs. That's not his fault. It's not Tua's fault that Josh McDaniel did not want to keep running and keep drives alive and keep Brian Doherty, his defense, off the field. At one point or another, McDaniel's got to be smart enough to say, I got a shitty defense. My defense is not really good enough, but I keep putting them out on the field when I have an opportunity to extend drives. When I have an opportunity to take a point so early in the game, there was zero reasons, and there's no freaking chart that tells you in the beginning of the first quarter, go for 2. There's no chart. So everybody lives in an altered reality. Dave Hyde wants Tua to win with his legs because that's how Josh Allen has to also win. He doesn't win simply from the pocket. He has to use his legs. That's not Tua. Brian Doherty, you don't want to blame, you want to lay it all on the defense. Well, guess what? The defense did enough to keep you in that game against the Bills. They even got a late turnover for you. What did you do with it? Can't help you. You know what I'm saying? And maybe the Bills have less opportunities at offense if you actually ran the ball and kept possession. So the problem is we have too many people living in an altered reality. Maybe they got into some wormhole in sliders and they went to an altered reality where Tua also runs like Josh Allen. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe Marcel is on an altered reality where he thinks that Tua now is going to become Russell Wilson. And maybe Brian Doherty is also on a altered reality because he's expecting the defense to bail you out. Well, they keep you in the games. And in that Chargers game, you had opportunities. You were within a score. It's up to the offense to come up with points. I mean, what more do you want? I can't. It's one of those things where we have to be realistic. And too many people are unrealistic at the way they look at the Miami Dolphins. So, there you go. You can want whatever the hell you want, but that's not the reality. You know? That's the problem here. And that's the problem with a lot of Dolphins fans. There isn't enough reality here. And you're not willing to look at what really is going on and what talent is in front of you, you know? And so until you assess the issue the right way, you're not going to be able to decipher it and talk about it the right way. So, it just, whatever, man. But I just feel like it just becomes unrealistic. Again, how many, I don't know if Dave did it or which of the writers or which of the talk show hosts or which of the national talk show hosts or whatever. But like I talked to you guys about this on Monday. Anybody that was talking about, oh, can he play in the cold? Brother, you know how stupid that shit is? Like, if you were questioning that, if that was like a subject, part of, like, really? Seriously? Like, you're talking about something that's never been talked about with any quarterback in the history of the game. And like Poupart told me yesterday, well, no, because he had a bad game. That doesn't mean he plays bad in bad weather. Everyone has bad games. Could be snow, could be completely dry, could be rain, could be whatever. This doesn't mean you can't play in the snow or in the rain. That's asinine. It's the dumbest thing out there to be bringing it up for anybody. Again, unrealistic ways of looking at it. And so then you spin the narrative however you want. And then when they don't meet your narrative, you then are disappointed. But you're disappointed because you were unrealistic from the get-go. That's why. So when I read Dave's article, and I love Dave, I agree with him most of the time. This year on the Dolphins, we've disagreed. Okay? For sure, I've disagreed with him on the Dolphins. This year, in fact, I've disagreed with several people when it comes to the Dolphins. But that's fine. I mean, that's kind of been the thing with the whole Tua thing or Chris Greer or whatever, or X.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.